Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. It is truly an honor to rise to speak in the House today on such an important topic. It is the most important topic of our era, focusing on the report by the IPCC. 90 scientists focused on 6,000 scientific reports, and which it's sounding the alarm. This is not the first time that IPCC scientists have sounded the alarm to tell all governments around the world that it is time to take action. It is the 11th hour. In 10 or 12 years, we will hit a wall. And I listened to an interview with Aurélien Borot, a French scientist, who said, the wheels have already started spinning and we're going to hit a wall. But it is not too late to reduce the dramatic effects that climate change will have. And the longer we wait to implement measures to counter climate change, the worse it will be. The change needs to be radical today, on October 15, 2018, to protect future generations, to protect my generation. People my age and our children are the ones who will be penalized the most because we are not making the decisions that need to be made today. The decisions that needed to be made 10 years ago and 20 years ago were not made. And it's demoralizing as a young Canadian to think about it, because it's our era, it's our planet. I can't believe that in 2018, as federal elected official, I am not able to have more influence on the debate in the House of Commons than that. We are hearing catastrophic numbers on everything. A document of 730 pages was published last Sunday, a week ago last Sunday, to tell us just how urgent it is to take action. An urgent call to action by the IPCC that says that it is the time the unanimity may be lost if we wait. What are we waiting for? I can't believe it. We've been told that we are already at a 1 degree Celsius increase, and if we don't do anything, we need to reduce our carbon emissions by 45% to avoid catastrophe by 2030, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, by 2030. That's under 12 years from now. That's tomorrow. What does it take? And what are we doing? What has the government what did the government do a few months ago? It told us that it's bought a pipeline for $4.5 billion. I don't care where the money's coming from. A pipeline to triple production of the oil sands, when we just signed the Paris Accord and we said that we need to make all of the efforts possible to reduce our dependence on fossil fuels. How does it make any sense that we bought that pipeline? I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker, I forgot to say that I would be sharing my time with the Honourable Member for Saint-Hyacinthe-Bagotte, who will also be passionate in her speech. I'm convinced of it. We need to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. And when people hear that, or 2 degrees Celsius or 1 degree Celsius, what does that mean? Well, look at what we experienced this year. Heat waves, farmers, the people who feed us 3 times a day are telling us that it was the worst summer in 50 years. Farmers are the ones who feed us. They're the ones that allow humanity to survive and live. If they are telling us that they are having difficulty harvesting their crops, I think that we have a pretty concrete result of climate change. Recently, not even a month ago, 6 tornadoes hit the National Capital Region, Hull and Ottawa. it was never before seen. And in India, in Haiti, there have been natural disasters and tsunamis and floods and forest fires in BC. How is it that we aren't reacting more and saying, well, we really need to take action here? The government has said, well, it will change some cars to electric cars, but it takes more than that. You can't just change one car for another. There needs to be a lifestyle change. We need a change of mentality. We need to change our behaviors, and that it's not done by changing 1,000 cars or one car. It's not even 1% of the fleet in Quebec.
Therefore, what more is needed? Successive reports from the Environment Commissioner have been telling us for the past 2-3 years that the current government, just like the previous government, has not reduced grants to fossil fuels. I don't remember the amount, but $3 billion a year or something for fossil fuels while we're supposed to reduce our dependency? That's nonsense. Out of 19 federal departments, 14, including the Environment Department, have no climate change plan to adapt to climate change. Nothing. It's ridiculous. It's beyond ridiculous. It's absurd. They can't say that they're working on the international scene to become a world leader when our own Environment Department doesn't even have the brains to come up with a plan to adapt to climate change. They have supposedly ambitious plans. The Conservatives supposedly won the fossil prize twice, but they can't even say they're going to achieve these targets. Why? Because there's no modeling. There's no analysis of plans that could be put in place. Nobody is working on the application of plans that would help us achieve objectives. We welcomed scientist Normand Mousseau from the University of Montreal. He said that in Canada there is no plan. Not only is there no plan, there isn't even an assessment of how we could attain the objectives. We can't evaluate progress and adjust accordingly. How can we figure out that we would achieve our targets? It's impossible. Scientists say it's all smoke and mirrors. It's empty words with no true intention to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. How will we achieve this? How will we make sure that there isn't 200,000 to 1 billion refugees on this planet within 30 years? I'll still be alive. I'll be 36 or 66. My daughter will be 34. I'm not the one saying this. It's the scientist who's saying it. He says in 30 years, we will probably have a war because people will have no more territory that's viable. There are countries that are closing their borders to migrants for many reasons. And there's hate speech, there's xenophobia, there's fear, and there are people here too who want us to close the doors to refugees, but they'll be climate refugees. It won't be 1,000 or 2,000 per month or per year. It will be millions of refugees per year because of climate change. We're doing nothing. It won't be the economy of certain towns, cities, or countries that'll be affected. It'll be the world economy. And the cost of lack of action is worse than intervention and action to ensure that plans are put in place. So, for heaven's sakes, let's not have an emergency debate today just for show and say, yes, yes, we had a debate. Because there will be more tornadoes, more droughts, more agricultural problems, more transportation and traffic problems, more people who say, I have this or that disease, Lyme disease, hit a record this summer in terms of number of victims because climate change means that the insect that carries, the tick that carries this disease continues to grow. In the Montreal area was the case. There are children who are not even being diagnosed because we don't have the information necessary. Doctors don't have that information. That has a major impact everywhere. We shouldn't have just a Department of the Environment. They should work with the finance department, as is done in other countries, such as Germany. There has to be intervention, that concerted effort, stop working in silos, work with scientific evidence.